Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be the wrap up on the Sig P227 45 ACP. Last one on this firearm, I walked through the complete reassembly and got it all wiped down and ready to go to the range. Realized I forgot to do the test of running some dummy rounds through it, make sure everything's cycled fine after doing the internal work, as well as doing a little bit of drop testing on it. Now, being that this is a DASA, you're not going to carry it cocked. At least I never would when I'm carrying it. I'm going to carry it with the hammer down. So the drop test really isn't as necessary because that first pull is going to be you pulling the trigger and actually cocking and releasing the hammer versus it having been locked back like a striker fired firearm or your old 1911s or whatnot. But I still can just make sure everything is solid and the safeties are working. So first thing I'm gonna do is grab a mag, grab the firearm, and then just manually cycle a few mags of dummy rounds through it. I've got these ones right here in 45 that I'll use, and just make sure everything cycles good and it ejects as it's supposed to. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, get that test done, and then move on. All right, I just ran 3 mags through, so that was 30 rounds because there's 10 of them. Using both the dual action and the single action. So, I would put the first, load the mag, drop the slide to chamber around, then drop the hammer drop and do one pull, full trigger pull, and then hold the trigger back, rack the slide, eject, and then let the trigger back just to the point of reset. So the reset's nice and short, nice and smooth. This does have the SRT kit, like I've said previously. And, now that everything's been smoothed out a little bit, nice, clean action. Very happy there. All right, and I did just drop test it. I just did the 2 sides, but I did it with the hammer back just to really be prudent and no issues. I really hate dropping a gun that's this expensive and this nice on the ground. But, this was concrete that I dropped it on with just a folded over towel. I mean, you can see the indent there, from it hitting ever so slightly on the sight. So it doesn't look like it not moved the sight or damaged the sight or anything like that. But anyway, yeah, it's fine. Drop it. It held back like it's supposed to. If you are going to drop test, make sure you do it with, the dummy rounds and whatnot in the mag, because if you don't have some weight in the handle, it is going to go top heavy and definitely fall on your sights. So just a heads up on that. But anyway, good to go as far as drop testing goes, as far as cycling goes. So next step is going to be to get it to the range. That is going to be where I'm heading next. All right, back from the range, and it was a great day. Very successful. Gun performed very well. Very happy with the trigger feel, firing, everything like that. As you'll see in the footage that's going to be after this, it's kind of what I normally do. I took 3 mags with me, and I did 1 round each, 2 rounds each, 3 rounds each, 4 rounds each, 5 rounds each, and then the full 10 rounds each, just to test, cycle, everything like that. And then the last bit that you're going to see is the last 15 rounds that I fired, 3 mags, 5 rounds each mag when I was done with the day. It was 150 rounds. First 50 were Blazer Brass 230 grain. The last 100 were Ammo Inc. Signature Target 230 grain, and I did grab 1 of each casing just to make sure everything looked good. The primer strikes on both looked great, so no problems there. As far as the gun, it was perfect, no failures to feed. The only thing I noticed was there were a couple of times where after the last round, the slide did not lock back. So I'll have to look into seeing what that was, if it was something with the magazine and the slide lock mechanism just not quite lining up, or I'm not sure. So something I do have to look into there. But you'll see me shooting and whatnot, but here is the target from the end of the day. This was at 30 feet, 10 yards, every shot. Yeah, I mean, the gun for a 45 fires very well. I was very happy with, how it handled everything. It's very smooth to fire, very easy to get right back on target after each hit, each pull, everything like that. So very happy with the day's results. So here is the footage of my day at the range. right, so now that you've seen the range results, next thing on the list, need to get everything cleaned up. So I'm gonna grab some patches, super quick clean gun, do a basic, field strip on the firearm, and get everything cleaned and ready to be put back away. All right, and here it is, all cleaned up, wiped down with rig rag again. It's getting ready to put it back in its box and back in the safe. So everything looked pretty good on the inside when I cleaned it up, just, dirty, nothing crazy. As far as that slide stop that I'd mentioned previously, I took the locking block out. I couldn't find any issues there, so I'm not sure if it was just a random fluke thing. Like I said, it only happened a couple of times when I had just 5 rounds in the mag, so I don't know. It's something that I guess, I'll just kind of have to keep my mind on it, keep an eye on it next time I take it to the range or whatnot. So anyway, that is where I'm going to end this one here. That should wrap up the 227 cleaning and polishing project. So if you like what you're seeing, you want to follow along with my future projects, please hit like, please hit subscribe, please hit the notification bell. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I do review them. I will reply. I do have a second YouTube channel devoted to automotive stuff. If that is something that interests you, there is a link in the description of this video. I also have a Rumble channel where I'm posting a lot of my gun stuff. If you're on Rumble, I'd appreciate it if you'd go over there and follow me on Rumble. That being said, thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.